Popeyes Louisiana kitchen has been slapped with a lawsuit accusing the chain of using unsafe meat here in Ontario.
You're hungry. You're driving home. Suddenly you see that orange sign glowing in the distance. Popeyes. The promise of crispy chicken, buttery biscuits, and Cajun fries calls your name. But before you roll down your window and order that famous combo, you might want to put your appetite on hold. Because what's happening behind those swinging kitchen doors could make you think twice about your next bite. The average American visits Popeyes about 15 times a year. That's more than once a month of trusting a fast food chain with your taste buds and your digestive system. But after spending weeks digging into employee testimonials, health inspection reports, and industry insider information, I've uncovered some truths that might make you reconsider that next chicken sandwich. Let's start with the obvious. Popeyes food looks and smells amazing. The commercials show golden, crunchy chicken, steam rising from fluffy biscuits, and fries that look like they were hand-cut by a French chef on vacation in New Orleans. The marketing promises authentic Louisiana flavor, family recipes, and that unmistakable crunch that made them famous. But here's the first secret. Much of that fresh food isn't as fresh as you think. According to former employees from locations across the country, a lot of Popeyes chicken arrives at the store pre-breaded and frozen. That's right. Your freshly fried drumstick may have started its journey in a freezer truck, not a Louisiana kitchen. One ex-worker from a busy Atlanta location described the process like this. We'd open giant bags of frozen chicken, dump them in the fryer, and hope for the best. If it looked golden, it was good to go. Another employee from Texas added, "The chicken comes in these massive industrial bags. Sometimes the pieces are stuck together with ice crystals. We'd have to break them apart with tongs." Translation: if your chicken is crunchier than your life decisions, it might be because it's been deep-fried straight from the Ice Age. And that signature seasoning? Much of it is applied at processing facilities, not in the restaurant kitchen where you can see it happening. Multiple employees have reported that during busy periods, frozen chicken sometimes gets rushed into the fryer without proper thawing. The result? Chicken that's crispy on the outside but still cold or rubbery on the inside. One former manager confessed, "During lunch rush, we'd get orders backed up for 30 minutes. Corporate wanted speed, so we'd throw frozen chicken straight into the oil and pray it cooked through." Let's talk about the oil. You know, the magical potion that turns raw chicken into crispy gold? At Popeyes, that oil is supposed to be changed regularly to maintain quality and safety. But according to multiple whistleblowers, some locations stretch the oil's lifespan longer than a Netflix binge. One former manager from a Florida location confessed, "We'd only change the oil when it started to smell like a chemistry experiment gone wrong. Corporate said change it every few days, but when you're trying to hit profit margins, that oil might go a week or more." So if your chicken tastes like it's been fried in regret, you might be onto something. Old oil doesn't just affect taste. It breaks down into compounds that can be harmful to your health. Trans fats increase, free radicals multiply, and your innocent chicken dinner becomes a chemistry lesson you never signed up for. And don't even get me started on the flavor crystals that build up in the fryer. One employee called them the secret ingredient nobody talks about. These are basically burnt bits of batter and seasoning that accumulate at the bottom of the fryer. Instead of being cleaned out regularly, they often get mixed back into your food, adding a bitter, burnt flavor that some locations try to pass off as extra seasoning. A health inspector from Louisiana told me, "I've seen fryers at some Popeyes locations that looked like they hadn't been properly cleaned in months. The oil was so dark, it looked like motor oil, and there were chunks of debris floating around that had been there so long they'd turned into little charcoal nuggets." You'd think a place serving thousands of meals a day would be spotless, right? Well, let's just say the cleaning schedule at some Popeyes locations is more of a suggestion than a rule. Health inspection reports from across the country paint a concerning picture. In the past 2 years alone, Popeyes locations have been flagged for issues like raw chicken, stored above cooked food. That's a bacteria party waiting to happen. Food left out at unsafe temperatures for hours, employees skipping hand washing after handling trash, and prep surfaces that hadn't been sanitized properly. One customer in Texas posted a photo of a Popeyes bathroom with the caption, If the restroom looks like this, imagine the kitchen. The image showed overflowing trash, broken fixtures, and what appeared to be several days' worth of neglect. Let's just say, if you need to use the facilities, bring your own hazmat suit. But the real horror stories come from the kitchen itself. A former employee from a busy Chicago location described the scene. During dinner rush, we'd have raw chicken juice dripping onto the floor, and nobody had time to clean it up. People would slip and slide around, and sometimes that same mop we used on the floor would get used to wipe down prep surfaces. Another worker revealed that hand washing stations were often blocked by supply boxes or broken entirely. We were supposed to wash our hands every 30 minutes, but when you're slammed with orders and the sink is buried under boxes of frozen fries, you just grab some hand sanitizer and hope for the best. Temperature control is another major issue. Chicken is supposed to be kept below 40 degrees when raw and above 140 degrees when cooked. But multiple employees have reported seeing chicken sitting in the danger zone between 40 and 140 degrees for hours at a time. Let's talk about those famous sides. The mashed potatoes, the red beans, and rice, the mac and cheese. Comfort food, right? Well, comfort might not be the right word when you learn how they're actually prepared. According to several ex-employees, many sides arrive at the store in giant plastic bags, pre-cooked, pre-seasoned, and pre-forgotten. The cooking process? Cut open the bag, dump it in a tray, and heat it up in what's essentially a giant microwave or steam table. One worker joked, "If you can use scissors and a microwave, you're qualified to be a Popeyes chef." But the reality is less funny when you consider what this means for food safety and quality. The mashed potatoes, for example, start as dehydrated flakes mixed with water and artificial butter flavoring. A former employee described the process. "We'd dump these beige flakes into a giant tub, add hot water, and stir until it looked like something you might want to eat. Sometimes the water wasn't hot enough, so you'd get lumps of dry potato flakes mixed in with the paste. And if you've ever wondered why the mac and cheese sometimes tastes like it was made in a science lab, it's because it basically was. The ingredient list reads like a chemistry textbook. Artificial flavors, preservatives, stabilizers, and enough sodium to make your blood pressure do the cha-cha. The red beans and rice? They arrive frozen in bags and get reheated in steam tables that may or may not maintain proper temperatures. One employee revealed, sometimes the beans would sit in that steam table for hours, getting mushier and mushier. By the end of the day, they looked like baby food. Remember when the Popeyes chicken sandwich broke the internet? Lines around the block, social media meltdowns, and even a few fistfights over fried chicken. It was a marketing dream come true. But what you didn't see was the absolute chaos happening in kitchens across the country. During the sandwich craze, some locations were so overwhelmed that food safety went completely out the window. Chicken left sitting out for hours, employees rushing orders without checking internal temperatures, cross-contamination between raw and cooked food, and corners cut in ways that would make a health inspector weep. One ex-worker from a busy Los Angeles location said, "We were making sandwiches so fast I'm surprised we didn't accidentally serve a shoe with pickles." The line was out the door, corporate was breathing down our necks, and we were just trying to survive. Food safety became an afterthought. Another employee described the scene. "We ran out of chicken sandwich buns 3 times in one day. So we started using regular hamburger buns, then dinner rolls, then whatever we could find in the freezer. People were so hyped about the sandwich, they didn't even notice they were eating chicken on a hot dog bun." The pressure to keep up with demand led to some questionable practices. Chicken that normally would have been discarded for being too small or oddly shaped suddenly became sandwich material. Pickles that had been sitting out for hours got used anyway. And that signature sauce? Sometimes it was just mayo mixed with whatever condiments were handy. Let's talk numbers because sometimes the truth is in the calories. That innocent-looking Popeyes combo meal? It can easily top 1,500 calories, and that's before you even think about dessert or a second helping. Break it down. A single chicken sandwich packs over 700 calories and nearly 1,500 milligrams of sodium. That's more than half your daily recommended sodium intake in one sandwich. Add large fries at 800 calories, a biscuit at 200 calories, and a large sweet tea with more sugar than a candy store, and you're looking at a meal that could fuel a small marathon. But here's the kicker. You might think you're treating yourself, but your arteries are filing a formal complaint. That sodium content isn't just high, it's astronomical. One nutritionist I spoke with said, eating a Popeyes combo meal is like taking a salt lick and calling it lunch. And don't be fooled by the spicy label. The only thing getting burned is your daily recommended sodium intake. That spicy chicken sandwich? It contains more sodium than you'd find in 3 bags of potato chips. Even the biscuits, which seem harmless enough, pack 540 milligrams of sodium each. Ever wonder why Popeye's food tastes so addictive? It's not just the spices, though those certainly play a role. The real secret is in the chemistry of flavor enhancement. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, is a common flavor enhancer in many menu items. While it's generally recognized as safe, it's designed to make food taste more savory and satisfying than it naturally would be. It's like putting an Instagram filter on your taste buds. Everything seems more appealing than it really is. Then there are the artificial colors and preservatives that keep food looking fresh, even after sitting under heat lamps for hours. Sodium phosphate keeps the chicken looking plump and juicy. Anti-caking agents prevent the seasoning from clumping. Artificial flavors boost the taste when natural flavors fade. One nutritionist said, if you can't pronounce it, you probably shouldn't eat it. But hey, at least you'll ace your next chemistry test. The ingredient list for a simple chicken breast reads like a science fair project. Sodium phosphate, modified cornstarch, monosodium glutamate, natural and artificial flavors, spice extractives, and about a dozen other compounds. Fast food is notorious for high employee turnover, and Popeyes is no exception. The average employee stays less than 6 months, which means you're often being served by someone who's still learning the ropes. Understaffed kitchens, rush training, and overworked employees create a perfect storm for mistakes. Orders get mixed up, food safety steps get skipped, and sometimes your chicken gets a little extra character that you definitely didn't order. One former employee summed it up. If you see a new face every time you visit, just hope they read the manual. But here's the problem. Training at many locations is minimal. New employees might get a few hours of instruction before being thrown into the chaos of a busy kitchen. This lack of proper training shows up in food quality and safety. Employees who don't know proper procedures might not check food temperatures, might cross-contaminate surfaces, or might not recognize when food has been sitting out too long. Let's be honest, Popeyes is cheap, fast, and everywhere. But that convenience comes at a cost that goes beyond the price on the menu board. Quality shortcuts mean your food might not be as fresh or as carefully prepared as you'd hope. Food safety risks mean you're rolling the dice every time you take a bite. You might save money compared to a sit-down restaurant, but when you factor in the potential health costs, doctor visits, medication for high blood pressure, the energy crashes that come from high-sodium, high-calorie meals, that value meal starts to look a lot more expensive. As one customer put it after a particularly disappointing experience, I came for the chicken, but I stayed for the regret. So, should you never eat at Popeyes again? Not necessarily. But here's what you can do to protect yourself and make more informed choices. First, check the cleanliness. If the dining area looks neglected, if the bathroom is a disaster zone, or if you can see into the kitchen and it looks chaotic, trust your gut, and maybe don't trust theirs. A clean front of house usually indicates a clean back of house. Second, don't be afraid to ask questions. How long has that chicken been sitting under the heat lamp? When was the oil last changed? Is that chicken cooked all the way through? Good restaurants won't mind answering these questions. Third, watch for red flags. Lukewarm food is a major warning sign. It means the food has been sitting in the danger zone where bacteria thrive. Odd smells, especially anything that smells sour or off, should send you running. Staff who seem overwhelmed, confused, or unsanitary are all indicators that your meal might not be prepared with care. Fourth, moderation is key. Treat Popeyes like a guilty pleasure, not a dietary staple. The occasional indulgence won't kill you, but making it a regular habit could have serious health consequences. And if you really want that fried chicken fix, try making it at home. It might take longer and it might be more work, but at least you'll know exactly what's in it. You can control the oil quality, the seasoning, the cooking temperature, and the cleanliness of your kitchen. Plus, you can pronounce all the ingredients. The truth is, fast food chains like Popeyes are designed to be convenient and profitable, not necessarily healthy or high quality. They've mastered the art of making food that tastes good enough to keep you coming back, while cutting costs in ways that might not be immediately obvious to the average customer. But knowledge is power. The food industry spends billions of dollars every year trying to convince you that their products are fresh, healthy, and made with care. But as we've seen today, the reality behind the marketing can be very different. So the next time you're driving home and you see that orange sign glowing in the distance, you'll have the information you need to make a choice that's right for you. Maybe you'll decide the convenience is worth the trade-offs. Maybe you'll choose to drive past and make something healthier at home. Either way, it'll be an informed decision. If this video opened your eyes to what's really happening behind the scenes at Popeyes, give it a like and subscribe to Truth on the Table. We're here to give you the information the food industry doesn't want you to have. Share this video with someone who thinks extra crispy automatically means extra safe, or with anyone who deserves to know what they're really eating when they choose fast food. Remember, the truth isn't always on the menu, but it's always on this channel. Stay hungry for answers, not just for chicken, because when it comes to your health, you deserve to know exactly what you're putting in your body. Thanks for watching Truth on the Table, where we always serve the truth straight up, no artificial flavors added.